his children and how involved he was in the community. We have Mike Anderson, who is standing by live right now outside the Spectrum there at Utah State University in Logan. Mike, powerful words from the governor, from colleagues, from family members, a beautiful tribute to this fallen officer.
Yeah, Sharon, Tamara, quite a beautiful service there, quite somber. And, you know, even the musical number there, I don't know if you noticed, Bubbly by Colby Calais, that was put in there because family members say it kind of reflects his personality of how kind of outgoing and upbeat he was. And Officer Estrada, just 32 years old, too young to go, but graduated here in Cache Valley from Mountain Crest High School in 2011, lived in Logan, and so was somewhat known in the community. But we also heard from his good friend and detective Michelle Clough, who talked about how dedicated he was to his service as a police officer and how much he wanted to serve the community. And I think we've got a bit here we could hear from her right now.
He wanted to serve the community he was raised and lived in, the one where his kids went to school and his wife worked. For Eric, they weren't empty words or goals. And as we served for the next year side by side, I saw that the community, the people he encountered every day, meant everything to him.
Yeah, so people were really important to him, as she talked about, and one of the stories that she shared as well is that he arrested a man for DUI, and that because of the way that Eric Estrada kind of presented himself and how he talked with him as a human, treated him like a human being, that man after that moment became sober and recovered. And so that was just one example she shared of what he was like and what he's been for the community, both here and then over in Tremont, and of course. So an amazing service, guys, and people, you know, we see them streaming in, some people kind of streaming out here as they're starting to leave here, you know, very somber faces and you know, a lot of important memories were shared there, but also a very sad day, guys.
The memories are what we like to hear, especially as we get to know.
All right, we want to go now to KSL's Mike Anderson, who is outside the Spectrum. Mike?
Yeah, guys, thanks for coming back. I've got Senator Scott Sandel here. He is in Tremonton State Legislature, of course. This is a part of your community. Just wanted to get kind of your thoughts today coming out of this service.
Thank you. What a lovely service. What a great moment of reflection to honor a great person today in Officer Estrada. I believe our community owes a great deal of respect and honor to those who serve, and especially those who are fallen.
And this is kind of a huge impact to the community, I imagine. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's been?
It has been a huge impact for the last week and a half. I believe our community has rallied. I believe there's moments of healing, there's moments of grief, mourning, all of those emotions that need to happen as we move forward. But we need to never forget what has happened and the service and sacrifice that's paid by those officers.
And between, you know, you've got Officer Estrada, Sergeant Sorensen, and Mike Allred, the deputy. They're all kind of around this community. Did you know any of them, or is it just more sort of out of overall respect for the law enforcement community?
I do know the Sorensen family, having grown up in the Fox River County area, and that family is deep-rooted there. I know that they're mourning, I know that they're hurting, and I know that they appreciate all of the support that everyone's been.
And just hearing about Officer Estrada, if I can ask you this too, and I don't hold you too long, but I was impressed at just kind of how he was, how he treated everyone as a person, and I just wondered, would you share some of your thoughts of kind of what you heard today?
The greatest thing and the saddest thing about a funeral is sometimes we learn more about a funeral than we did while a person was alive. That happened for me today. To understand a little bit better about the community that he came from, how he was raised, what his value sets were very inspirational to me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate those who spoke that and gave us that brief insight into who he was as a person.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Senator Sandel, for talking with us.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. I'll let you go here, but thank you.
Thanks.
And so, yeah, it's just one example of the many people who are kind of streaming out here as the service kind of wraps up. But you know, as you'd expect, a lot of somber faces. A couple other folks I talked to just came here because, you know, this is something that impacts the community, that people feel when they see law enforcement officers taken like this. And we also talked briefly with a doctor where we understand Officer Estrada's wife worked, and they are, that office kind of coming together to support the family. So a lot of them were here today as well. And so just, yeah, it's been really interesting to learn about who he was and what he means to people out here.
For that, yeah, we're certainly hearing a theme of the type of man he was, beyond just being a police officer, how he could walk into a room and change things.
Of course.
Absolutely. All right. I know our Mike Anderson has been speaking with folks who have been making their way out of the spectrum. Mike, let's check in with you now.
Yeah, guys, hi. We are here with Attorney General Derek Brown with here at State of Utah, who's been in attendance here, and just wanted to get some of your thoughts, Attorney General. Just tell me why you're here and kind of your thoughts of the service.
Well, I mean, the service was very moving, and what it did is it gave us a chance. You know, we see these men and women all over our state in uniform, and they provide a level of protection sometimes we don't think about. But today, it gave us a chance to stop and think about that protection that we all operate under, and that we live our lives sometimes not aware of what they do. And it was a great chance to really humanize, you know, an officer who laid down his life for others. And so, I mean, we got to see his family. We heard from his daughter who spoke. We saw pictures of him as a child, as a newlywed, as an officer, and heard from people who'd worked with him. And so, I mean, this is just a great opportunity to really remember the human being behind the uniform.
Yeah, and speaking of humanizing, I mean, it sounded like, I don't know if you noticed, but what was talked about, the way he kind of treated others and treated others with respect, kind of sounded like it made an impact on people's lives.
And you heard from other officers who served with him and talked about how they you know, they not only loved him, but they respected him. And in fact, there was one really sort of moving moment when they talked about him pulling over someone for a DUI and really talking and getting to know this person, and that person turned his life around because of that counsel and advice and friendship. And so that's really, I mean, we need to remember that these men and women in uniform, I mean, they serve us. You know, they have a level of risk that I don't think we appreciate, but they're human beings, and really they're about serving the community. And this is someone who served, and that's the beautiful thing, is this gave us a chance to see the servant in who Eric Estrada was.
Yeah, and I'm curious your thoughts as well. I mean, not only you, but we've seen so many people turn up for these officers, as well as Deputy Allred, who was injured. Can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts of kind of the response in the community you've seen out of this?
Well, I was actually at the Tremont Rodeo last Friday, and Deputy Allred was there, and they introduced him. It was very moving because in a small community like Tremont, so many people know, you know, someone who is impacted personally. But the really moving and emotional thing here about these funerals is that it's not just a tribute to a fallen officer, but it's a tribute with literally thousands of men and women wearing the uniform. I mean, I saw officers from as far, I mean, I was sitting next to the Millard County, the Salt Lake City, of course. I mean, you have, you know, folks from all over the state, officers. And so there is something poignant and moving and emotional about being in an event, honoring a fallen officer surrounded by thousands of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Attorney General Derek Brown. Really appreciate it. I'll let you go here. But yeah, just some more thoughts there from attendees, and we'll continue to gather those as they come out. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, Mike, thank you for that.
Okay, we are now, it's our movie here.
All right, well, we continue our team coverage. We want to check in with Mike Anderson, who's been talking to folks who have been trickling outside the spectrum, sharing some fond memories. And Mike, we know that Officer Eric Estrada was born in Logan, and he was beloved there in that community.
Yeah, born in Logan, but known in this community, but also, of course, known in Tremont, and as we've come to know here, and that kind of goes into who I have with me as we've been talking with people as they come out. We got with the Tremont City Council, Bo Lewis, and here to share some of his thoughts. And thanks for being here, but just wanted to get, tell me your kind of general impressions as you're walking out of this funeral today.
You know, I feel a great sense of love. The community loved that officer. You can tell by the way he gave back to our community. And we're just so grateful for his sacrifice, the things that he did in his life to represent what I feel Tremonton is. And it's a community of people that love one another and serve one another when things get hard. And we've seen that. We've witnessed that over the last week. Just an outpouring of community love. And I'm grateful for his example.
And I was impressed by some of the stories we heard about him. And you mentioned earlier that you knew him somewhat, at least. Was that at all surprising for you to hear what he was like?
No, again, we've seen his fingerprints all over our community. He hasn't been with us long, but at the end of the day, it was quick to see the things that he's done has raised a lot of impact, and he's had a big impact on us. And we're grateful for him. It was beautiful to spend some time hearing his family pay tribute to him and the hero that he was.
And we had a moment to talk before we came on here, but you mentioned to me earlier, and I wanted to bring this out because I thought it was somewhat poignant. But as you've gotten to know Sergeant Sorensen, Officer Estrada, you mentioned something about what they would want people to maybe know today or to think today. Can you tell me about that?
They were incredible men, and the time that I did spend with them, I think it was represented in the funeral today. They would want you to go seek a neighbor who might be down or lift somebody up that might be in need. They always had focus. They were always looking at the one and the person that might be forgotten. I saw pictures all over Facebook. If you go look at the Tremont City website, they were always going and buying lemonade, for example, at the kids' stands around town. They were so incredible, and they would always pay attention to the people that were trying or that needed help, and so I just go lift someone up today. Spend more time. Lynette said it yesterday, I think. Go spend more time with your kids. Go to the restaurant that you probably wouldn't have gone to.
Well, that's great. That's definitely some words to take away from here. Very, very poignant, as I mentioned there. And I appreciate you talking with us here, Councilman Lewis. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And so, just again, some more thoughts as people trail out of here. But yeah, just amazing to hear. I mean, these men, give their lives to the service of their communities. But it's amazing to hear these stories to see that they really did want to serve others, and some pretty important thoughts, I think, there. Guys, back to you.
Absolutely. Just some great reminders for us moving forward, too, and how we should be living our life as well. Mike, thank you for that report.
All right, we're looking live from
Funeral Services for Officer Eric Estrada. Let's go ahead and check back in with Mike Anderson, who's been able to talk to folks that they've been trickling out of the spectrum and sharing some of their thoughts and memories of Eric Estrada.
Yeah, we've heard from some of those folks, just a lot of poignant thoughts about how these two men and Estrada especially just kind of dedicated their lives to serving their communities, and how important that was to Estrada. And I just want to show you a little bit of kind of what we have around us. I'm going to step out of the way here, but we've got a couple of fire engines from Tremonton and Garland. Of course, that's the two cities that the police department covered, that Sergeant Sorensen and Officer Estrada worked at. And so this is been a big impact to those communities, and you've got the black and the blue line ribbons there as well. And all around us, we've got some American flags as well. As we were waiting for the funeral to begin, maybe a couple hours before, we saw a group of maybe about a dozen volunteers just setting those up, putting those in. And those are just members of the community from around here in Cache Valley, and some as far as away as Weber County, as a lot of those flags were supplied by the Major Brent Taylor Foundation down there. But You know, this is a pretty huge impact to the community. Of course, Officer Estrada lived here in Logan, so a lot of people, even if they didn't know him, they just kind of feel that there's an officer from here that was taken so young at 32 years old. And so a lot of people came to pay their respects. And we heard about what he was like as a person, that the song that was played, Bubbly by Colby Cablé, was kind of a reflection of what he was like as a person and also his favorite song. So, and we also heard about how much he treasured being a father, and we heard from his daughter as well. And I think we're going to play a soundbite from his daughter Sienna Estrada from the service here earlier today.
He was a great friend to others. He put others before himself. He was a great human being. He will always be remembered for what he did for our country. He lived a great life. He did what he wanted to do for a living, protect people. We love you and miss you very much. Thank you for
And so I've, heard a lot of similar sentiments today, both from the service and from people out here that, Officer Estrada really valued serving others and serving those around him. And really, both he and Sorensen had that same kind of quality. And Detective Michelle Clough that we heard from earlier said that, maybe it was a bit fitting that they went out together because they always had each other's backs and had these similar personalities and their love of service. But that's a bit about what we've heard out here. As we've seen people coming out. This has been a pretty big impact to the communities of Box Elder County, also here in Logan, as a lot of people realize that Estrada lived here and this was his community as well.
All right, Mike Anderson reporting for us. We appreciate those insights. And just kind of adding to what Mike has said and some of the sentiments that we've heard today, if you've...
Time to say their private goodbye.
All right, we want to check back in with Mike Anderson again. And Mike, you've been giving us some more insight as to the folks that you've been interacting with and how so many people are just wanting to share some of their memories and thoughts of today's funeral service for Officer Estrada.
We've heard a lot of thoughts from people and just about how much Estrada just loved serving the community. In fact, we heard some of that in the service as well from the pastor there. I have his name in front of me, John Bells. Some of his thoughts as what Estrada meant and kind of the legacy he leaves behind.
May we feel your presence in every quiet moment and find strength.
Okay, so maybe not that soundbite, but we did hear about kind of the legacy that Officer Estrada leaves behind, as he was known for serving his community, for treating people with humanity. We heard the story about how he treated a man that he arrested for a DUI as an equal human being, and that left quite an impression on the man, so much so that when he met up with him again years later, he had said that interaction helped turn around his life. And it's great to kind of learn these things and stories that unfortunately we may not otherwise have heard, but that we're hearing through this tragedy. But maybe that's a bit of the positive here, is that we're seeing what these men meant to the communities and what their service overall just means to the community as a whole, as we've heard a lot here today. Back to you.
All right, Mike, thank you. We appreciate your efforts out there. And, one thing I want to leave with is
this funeral today.
We have team coverage. Mike Anderson and Andrew Adams both joining us from Logan. We begin with Andrew. And Andrew, we understand there was a lot of law enforcement agencies in attendance.
Really, law enforcement agencies
and numbness.
Members of the community coming together here, honoring the life of Officer Estrada. Many of them paying their respects at his funeral. News specialist Mike Anderson spoke with several of them this afternoon. Mike?
Yeah, Mike, a lot of people here are just impressed at Officer Estrada's, caring nature and his positivity. We talked with some who got to know him, others who just learned about his good nature here, at the services today. And not only did you have law enforcement from around the state and country showing up in large numbers, but many of the flags and decorations here were put up by volunteers. Estrada is from Logan, worked law enforcement here in Cache Valley before going to Tremonton, Garland Police Department. And as a result, several people from the Logan area turned up to honor and support him, to show their thanks for his service. I also talked with David Casey, a local doctor in family medicine. He says Estrada's wife is their office manager, and so many people there from that office came to support his family in this rough time.
He's a great guy. I played pickleball with him, and obviously he's a loving father, husband, and a devoted police officer. So it was an amazing funeral to honor such a great guy.
And Casey also mentioned, as many others have over the past couple of weeks, just how amazing the outpouring of love and support from the community has been. And a couple other folks we talked to who were out here adding that, as tough as all of this is, it is uplifting to hear about how much Estrada loved people and his family, and it worked to treat everyone as if, they were valued and loved, just like anyone else. Back to you.
The support these families have received has been incredible by the public. All right, Mike, thank you. Tomorrow, funeral for Sergeant. Thanks for joining us at 4. KSL Live at 5 starts right now.
Coming up next on Live at 5.
The community turning up to remember Officer Eric Estrada. Some of their thoughts as they're leaving the services today.
Officer Estrada also leaves behind a legacy in law enforcement, what his fellow officers are saying.
The aftermath of a mudslide here in Provo. I'll show you the messy scene coming up at 5.
Live and streaming. This is KSL News at 5.
I miss you. And all of us here will do everything in our power to make sure your family is taken care of. And I will spend the rest of my career trying to be half the officer that you were.
Today, Utah remembers the life and sacrifice of Tremont police officer Eric Estrada. Officer Estrada and Sergeant Lee Sorensen died in the line of duty on August 17th. A funeral for Officer Estrada was held in Logan today.
Law enforcement officers traveling from across the country and the region here to pay their respects today.
But the most heartfelt goodbyes were from some of those closest to Officer Estrada. News specialist Andrew Adams has more on their thoughts as part of our live team coverage. Andrew?
Well, for example, Eric Estrada's chief.
Adams live for us. Thanks, Andrew. Members of the community showed up in large numbers to remember Officer Eric Estrada, many of them learning about his life and service from the stories told inside.
Yeah, news specialist Mike Anderson spoke with several of those people. And Mike, what'd they have to say?
Yeah, Mike and Debbie, a lot of people just impressed to hear how much attention Officer Estrada gave to seemingly everyone, even people he arrested, essentially treating them as equals. And as you know, many people turned up from in the Cache Valley, only recently learning that he lived here and served in law enforcement here before going to the Tremont and Garland Police Department. A lot of people here today simply because they wanted to show their support and thanks to law enforcement and to Estrada for giving all. I talked with State Senator Scott Sando, who lives in Tremont, and he says this tragedy is making a huge impact on the community while bringing people together. He also says he's learned a lot of positive things about Estrada's service because of this funeral that he wouldn't have known about otherwise.
I believe our community has rallied. I believe there's moments of healing, there's moments of grief, mourning, all of those emotions that need to happen as we move forward. But we need to never forget what has happened and the service and sacrifice that's paid by those officers.
And as you can imagine, a lot of people have come together to make all of this happen. We ran into a group of volunteers a couple hours before the service who were putting out the dozens of flags you see out here. And at 6, we'll hear from a Tremont City Council member who knew both Officer Eric Estrada and Sergeant Lee Sorensen. The message he believes that both of them would like us all to take away today. That's coming up at 6. Mike Anderson, live at 5.
All right, Mike, thank you. And a reminder here, we will be airing
live and streaming. This is KSL News at 6.
Good evening. Tonight we're following 2 big stories.
This week's weather wreaking havoc for Utahns, plus communities remembering the life of Tremont officer Eric Estrada.
There's so much love and outpouring in the community, so grateful for that.
He did what true heroes do. He ran towards danger to save his brother.
Estrada was one of 3 officers responding to a call nearly 2 weeks ago. He and Sergeant Lee Sorensen were shot and killed in the line of duty. And today, friends and family honored Estrada's life during a funeral service.
But first, a community.
Tough to listen to there. Those who knew Officer Estrada say he left an impact that will last forever. Andrew Adams beginning our team coverage with that part of the story here. Andrew?
Back to you.
All right, Andrew Adams live for us this evening. Andrew, thank you.
Today, many people showed up for Officer Eric Estrada's funeral, whether or not they knew him. News specialist Mike Anderson talked with several people as they were leaving there today. Mike, what stood out to most people?
Yeah, you know, the common theme here seems to be Estrada's dedication to the community and his service as a police officer. A lot of people talking about that. Many people only learning today how much that service meant to him, that he was known for treating everyone as they are valued, even people he'd arrested. Among the people we talked with after the service was Bo Lewis, a city council member in Tremont, and he says he got to know both Officer Eric Estrada and Sergeant Lee Sorensen in recent years. And while this is something you could never prepare for as a city, it's also brought many people together. Lewis also says we can all learn something from their nature and the way they treated others.
I think that both Lee and Eric, what I knew of them, they would say, spend time with your neighbor today. Go look at the downtrodden. Go find somebody who needs you. That's where they would be.
And we also saw before the funeral services volunteers who were working on putting the dozens of flags we see out here, and many supplied by the Major Brent Taylor Foundation in North Ogden. And tragic as it is, some people have pointed out that, you know, the positive out of this is that we are learning a whole lot more about Estrada and how he made a difference in other people's lives, something that we may not have heard otherwise, you know, through this service today. Back to you.
Mike, appreciated the flags in back of you, the uniforms. It just all makes it feel really heartfelt and like it affects the community there. Thank you. Make sure to join us again tomorrow.